Hello, it's Hassan BIM and News. Welcome to my course Revit for Design. So basically we have 2D drafting software, AutoCAD, the most popular one of them, and we have a lot of software dedicated for 3D modeling. Revit in fact can manage both 2D and 3D, but Revit do not fit on this screen. Why? Because it's dedicated for BIM or Building Information Modeling. When talking about BIM, I like to focus on two major keys: information and collaboration. And Revit excel right here. In fact, the name Revit came from the term revise in time. If you have a revision, it can instantly done in all drawings at the same time. A change anywhere is a change everywhere. Let us have a demonstration. Here I have three views opened for the same project: a 3D view, a basement floor plan, and a door schedule. I will place them side by side like this, and the schedule maybe right here. And let's focus, for example, on this door MD1. I can see it in 3D right here. As soon as I selected the door in 3D, it will be selected automatically in plan. If I move it in plan, it will be moved also in 3D. Ctrl Z to undo. And can also find and select this door in the schedule. It will be also selected in 3D and plan. So the schedule is directly related to the model. So also if I change the mark or symbol of the door, it will be automatically updated in the schedule, as you can see. So now we have one door of this type. Let's try to create another copy. So now we have two copies. Let's try to delete this row of the schedule. From here, delete row. Okay. The door was deleted from the model, as you can see. This is why we usually use hide instead of delete in Revit. Now let's try to modify the windows. I will open the Windows schedule. This window right here is W1, as you can see. I will open my section to see the window in the section. And from the schedule, I will change the height from 80 centimeter to 1 meter. Okay. The height is directly changed in all my views. Of course, I need to adjust the threshold, which is a separate family in this case, like this. Basically, BIM is not only about 3D modeling. The main difference between a 3D volume created in any software and the BIM model built in Revit or other BIM softwares is the information integrated within the model. So the wall in Revit is not a simple extrusion. It has all the data necessary for construction within it. The model is a visual representation of these informations. So by selecting any element in Revit, I can see all its data, and all of it is usually parametric. It can be easily changed by changing some parameters. So in BIM, we put all our focus on the BIM model, and everything else is extracted from this model. From 2D drawings, 3D visualization and rendering, schedules and quantities, coordination between disciplines and clash detection, fabrication drawings, analysis, specifications. Everything is related and coordinated. In fact, within Revit, we have two types of collaboration. The first type of collaboration is within the same discipline. If I have a team of 5 architects, they can all work on the same file at the same time using work sharing. And we also have coordination between different disciplines. We can link the files of structural and mechanical engineers, and we can detect any clashes. We also have coordination between stakeholders. In fact, the BIM model can be on the cloud, and anyone related to the project can access the model. the client, the consultant, the estimator, the contractor, and of course coordination using 3D BIM model is 10 times more effective. All stakeholders can follow the project step by step across all phases before the construction start. In BIM, LOD stands for level of detail or level of development. It defines how much the model has progressed in terms of data and 3D details and accuracy. LOD 100 is conceptual design, 200 is schematic design, and 300 design development. At this phase, we usually get our permit and we start producing our detailed drawings at LOD 350. Up to this phase, the responsibility of the design team ends, and all documents are handed to the contractor who start developing LOD 400 or shop drawings, which needs to be approved by the client before he starts the construction of the building. And after construction we have LOD 500 that refer to as-built situation that will help us to operate and maintain the building. And by using BIM, we can save a lot of time and money from design phase to construction phase. Let's open Revit. I have 26 version. This is the start screen where I can see all my recent opened files, and from here I can open an existing file on my computer or create a new model or a new family. If you don't know what's a family, it's basically like a block in other 3D softwares. So this table, for example, is a family. The extension of family file is RFA, and the extension of a project in Revit is RVT. Let's click on this icon on the top corner. Now we're in the project environment, but we do not have any opened project yet. From here, go to File, Open. Don't click on Open, just place the mouse right here. Then go all the way down to Sample Files. And from here you can access all sample files provided by Autodesk. Right here you can see the version of the file. The version in fact is very critical because Revit cannot downgrade the version. So if you're working in 26, you cannot open your files from Revit 22, for example. But the file saved in Revit 2022 can be opened from Revit 2026 because you can upgrade but you cannot downgrade. And if you have Revit 24 or newer version, you can access this sample file provided by Autodesk. Open. This is the cover sheet of the project, and because we're in a sheet view, most of the functions up here are grayed out. So a sheet basically is where you organize all your views to export or plot them. We are now focusing on navigation. We have three main bars. We have the main ribbon, the properties bar, and the project browser. So let's start with the project browser, which is basically the index of the whole project. Everything is right here. All your views, your legends, your sheets, schedules, all families loaded to the project, and links and groups. Let's try to open a view. For example, level 2 floor plan. This blue box right here indicates that the view is placed on a sheet and will be probably exported. This is why we have annotations and dimensions placed on this view. So this is your main browser. Then you have the properties bar where you can find the properties of any selected element. A window, wall, furniture or tables. And if nothing is selected, you can see the properties of your view. For example, right here is a floor plan. You can see the scale, the display model, detail level, and other properties of this view. If I came back to the sheet, I am now seeing the properties of this sheet. So to open a view, you have to reach it from the project browser. Then you can shift between open views from here. And you can close your views from here. But if you closed all the views, the project will be closed and you will return to this menu. In fact, you can use Ctrl-D shortcut to access this menu. You can also open multiple projects at the same time. So this 3D view right now belongs to another project. The name is highlighted right here. If I move to this view, the name of the project will change. We have also the main ribbon, which has multiple tabs. The architectural tab is mainly used to build the new elements: walls, doors, windows, families, floor, roof, stair, railing, also rooms, levels, and grids. And if you want to insert any external files, families, or pictures, we go to the insert file, the insert tab, also to link Revit or CAD files. Then you have the annotate tab, from where you place your dimensions, annotations, and tags. And everything from the annotate tab is view specific. That means it will appear only on one view. So if I place a dimension on this floor plan, it will not appear in 3D. But for example, if I create a wall, it will appear in 3D and in all other views, sections, elevations. Then we have the massing and site tab. From here we can create a mass, which is basically a conceptual volume of our building. And we can also model the natural ground of the project and create all site components and property lines. From Collaborate tab, we can coordinate with all other members of the team. From View tab, we can create new views and change the settings of views. And if we have anything missing on our screen, we can turn it on from the user interface. So I can turn on the project browser and the properties from here. In fact, those two bars can be placed in any place on the screen. Then we have Manage tab, where we can modify all the settings of our current project, but not the general settings of Revit. To edit the general settings of Revit, you go to File, Options. We will get back to options later. We also have the Modify tab, where you can modify all your elements. You can find here all the commands like move, copy, rotate, and so on. The navigation in 2D views like this floor plan is very simple. Use the scroll to zoom in and zoom out, and click on the scroll to pan the view and move left and right, up and down. You can probably use the navigation wheel from here. This one right here is called the navigation bar. If you close it by mistake, you can go to the View tab, User Interface, and check it from here. But to hide this annoying, click on this drop-down menu, close this toolbar. So let's return to the navigation wheel. If you don't have a scroll, you can use it to zoom in and zoom out and to pan your view. Let's close it. And we have a very useful shortcut, which is ZA. It helps us, or you can double click on the scroll. If you lose your view, you can just simply click ZA or double click on the scroll to zoom all. Now let's move to a 3D view. In fact, this ribbon right here is called the Quick Access Bar. You can use it to save, place a dimension, export PDF, place a section, and it can be customized from here. We can use it right now to open our default 3D view. It can also be opened from here, from the View tab. We are in fact navigating in a big, complicated project. So be careful in 3D views. Make sure it's not placed on realistic. Choose shaded instead. So this one is called an orthographic or orthogonal view, which means all lines are parallel. So to navigate in 3D views, we can use the same technique in 2D views. We use the scroll to zoom in and zoom out, and to move left and right, up and down, we click on the scroll. To orbit the view, we need to click on the scroll and click on Shift at the same time. You probably need to select an element before orbiting the view. As you can see, the element I selected stay in the center of the orbit. Also, this cube right here is used for navigation. You can go to top, or you can go to the elevation, for example, or to the home right here. And one of the main tools used in 3D navigation in Revit is the section box. So to create a section box in this 3D view, you need to deselect everything to see the properties of the 3D view, then go down to Extents and check section box. I checked the section box, but nothing is visible. In fact, beginners always struggle in the visibility settings of Revit. Thank you Autodesk for making the sample file very complicated. Before searching for the section box, I need to highlight that this is not a single project. Those are multiple projects connected to each other using a Revit link. If you go in the project browser right here, as you can see, we have 6 links loaded to our project. So the site right here is a separate file linked to our project. Also, this traditional facade right here is modeled on a separated file. So big projects in Revit like this can be divided on multiple files and linked together using Revit link. Now we can ask again, where is our section box? We already turned it on, but it's not visible in the view. To see hidden elements in any view, you can click on this lamp right here, which reveal all hidden elements on this specific view. Okay, so finally I can see my section box. It's right here. I can select it, but I need to unhide this box. So I can use the right click, unhide in view, but unfortunately I cannot unhide this element. Why? To solve this problem, let's open the graphic visibility tab first, close the reveal hidden elements or click on the ramp right here. Now you can use the shortcut VV to open the visibility graphic tabs, or you can from the view properties graphics access this same tab. In fact, the section box is an annotation element. This is why we're gonna go to annotation categories, and as you can see, all annotation categories are hidden. So let's simply turn them on from this box right here. Let's make sure also that our section box is checked. Let's also make the view a little bit lighter by going to Revit links. We have 2 visible links in this view, the facade and the site. Let's turn them off. Okay. Now the links are turned off and the annotations are all visible. This purple box right here is our section box that we can use it to cut through your model. Select first, then use these handles like this. We need to save as our model to keep our progress. So file, save as, project, choose your location, rename the file. From options you can specify the number of backups, okay, and save. So I created a new file to preserve the initial Autodesk file, and now even if I close my file, I don't lose my progress, and I can see it right here in the recently opened files. Let's get back to our project. We are still in 3D navigation. We can hide those orange boxes. Those are scope boxes, which is different from a section box. So to hide them, we can get back to our graphic visibility tab using VV shortcut. Go to annotation category, click on S, and make sure to uncheck scope boxes. Okay. Or also you can hide them by using hide category. For example, if I want to hide all grids in this specific view, I can select a grid, right click, hide in view, category, and that's it. It's the same thing. If I get back to graphic visibility, annotate, I can notice that grids are now unchecked. Okay. To reset my section box, I can uncheck, then I will check it again, and now it will include all the visible buildings in this specific view. As we said, we can use this section box to cut through our model. We have a trick also to orient the section box to a specific 2D view. To do this, I will use the drop-down menu from here, from this box. We have a drop-down menu, orient to view, floor plan level 2, and now, like magic, the 3D view is oriented to this 2D view. Now let's try this on a section view. I will go to building section, and I will choose retail lobby stair. So I will go to the 3D view, from here orient to view, sections, and I will choose the same section right here. I can now see my section in 3D. Another useful trick, from the same drop-down menu, you can orient to a plan. Pick a plan, okay, and you can pick any plan, and the view will be oriented to this specific plan. Let's reset our section box and go to home from here. Sometimes you have to hide some elements to facilitate the navigation. We have permanent hide or temporary hide. To permanently hide an element, select first, then right click, hide in view element. Or you can use the shortcut EH to permanently hide any element from the view. And if you want to hide the whole planting category, select one plant, right click, hide in view category. Now all plantings are permanently hidden. To unhide these elements, we have to click on the lamp and select unhide. You can select both of them using Ctrl and unhide element. Select planting category, unhide category, and close. We always prefer using temporary hide for navigation. Select your element and use these sunglasses right here, hide element. So now this element is temporarily hidden, and you can see what's inside this roof. We can also temporarily hide a category. Let's hide the wall category, for example. From here, hide category. We can also isolate an element and isolate a category. Let's try to isolate our floor category. Select a floor and isolate category. Now only floors are visible in the view. And to isolate an element, select isolate element. And at any time you can reset all these settings from here. They are temporary, as we said. And we have shortcuts for all these functions. So select first HH to temporarily hide an element. and select a planting HC to temporarily hide the whole category, and HI to isolate an element. Finally, HR to reset all temporary settings. You need to memorize these shortcuts because they are frequently used in navigation. We also have a very useful shortcut for section box, which is BX. To create a section box around a specific element. For example, I can select any element in my view and use BX shortcut to create a section box around this specific element. So it can be used also in 2D views. For example, if I'm right here, I can select this table, for example, and I can select multiple elements at the same time and use BX shortcut to create a section box that will include all my selected elements. And of course, I can readjust it as I wish. So as you can notice, if I'm in a 2D view, for example, a floor plan, if I use the BX shortcut, it will take me automatically to my last opened 3D view or to my default 3D view. And always I can uncheck the section box to reset it. In fact, you can also measure dimensions in 3D. So this view right here is an orthographic view, as we said before. We also have perspective views, and navigation in perspective is different. Let's open a perspective view from 3D views. Let's open camera exterior river view. Now we are in a perspective view. Those blue and green dots right here are probably pipes from the mechanical links, so let's hide them. Open graphic visibility tab using VV shortcut, go to Revit links. As you notice, nothing can be changed in this view because we have a view template applied. So all the settings of the view are directly taken from this view template. We need to remove this view template, enable to edit view settings. But I don't want to mess with a view placed on a sheet. This is why I will first duplicate this view, right click, duplicate view. Now I have a copy of the same view, but there is no blue box, so it's not placed on a sheet. Click on view template and choose none. Okay, now go to VV and you can edit all settings right now. So let's turn the electrical and HVAC and the plumbing links off. And to navigate, we use the fly tool. Click on the mouse, you can go up and down, left and right. And to move forward, you can use arrows or WASD. You can also use E to go up and the Q to move down. And use the mouse at the same time with arrows to have a full control of the navigation. You can go to the interior, for example, like this. We can also use the navigation wheel. First, make sure the full navigation wheel is checked, then click on the navigation wheel or use Shift W shortcut. You can use look tool to look around, up and down to go up or go down, for example, and rewind to go back. I can also benefit from this drop down menu. I can increase the perspective by increasing the focal length, for example, like this. And I can also level the camera to have a 2 points perspective effect. So this is how you navigate in perspective views. And to create a brand new perspective view, you need first to go to a floor plan and from view, create a camera like this, for example. Now you have your own perspective view, so you can navigate through your model using perspective views. Now let's talk about the hierarchy in Revit. Every element follow a specific hierarchy, category, family, type, then instance. The category is the highest classification, and categories in Revit are already built in, so we cannot add a new category. And every element we need to create should follow a specific category. We have walls category, floors, doors. And if you open graphic visibility tab in Revit, you notice that every one of those is a separate category in models and even in annotations. And under categories, we have families. We have, for example, a double door, a single door, a garage door. All of them belongs to the doors category, but every single one of them have a different shape and different family. And under the single door family, we can have multiple types with different dimensions or materials. And also the same type with same dimensions can have different instance parameters. The swing angle opening, for example, can vary between two identical doors. Let us have a demonstration. I will open level 1 floor plan. I will select these two doors and create section box using BX shortcut. In this area we have at least 5 different doors. All of these doors belong to the same category, which is doors category. These two doors, for example, belongs to different families because this door right here have a glass box. So if I select any door from here, I can verify that it's belong to the door categories, and from this drop down menu I can see all families in the door categories. So we have a revolving door, a door with one glass box, and this door right here belong to this family which has 2 glass boxes. But this door right here belong to a different family, as you can see. Let's move to this area right here. Here we have 2 doors. They have the same category and the same family, but they have different types because the width of the door has changed. So this one is 36 inches and this one is 26 inches. They belong to the same family, but they have different types. Now these 2 doors have the same category, the same family, and the same type, but they can have different instance parameters. Let's, for example, open the level 1 like this. So let's select one of them and change the swing angle to 45 degrees. Or we can change the sill height of one of these 2 doors. Both of them still have the same type, but with different instance parameters. So as we said, we cannot add new categories. So the category level cannot be modified. But most elements can be modified at the family level. So for example, we can create a new door family by loading a new family to the project. And also we can edit an existing door family. But if I click on edit family or double click on the family, a separate file of the family will be opened. Let's close it for now without saving. I can also insert a new family from load family or load Autodesk family. I can choose a new door family from my library and load it to the project. So I can use this new family. Let's place it right here, for example. Now I have a new door family added in my project, as you can see. And of course, we can edit any element at the type level. This means I can have an infinite number of types of each family. For example, this family right here, I can edit the type. Then I can duplicate this existing type, give it a new name, for example, D2. Okay. I can now modify any type parameter. I will change the width. The units of the project are in inch, but I can write down 150 centimeters and click OK. Like this, I created a new type of this family. And I have now 3 different types with different dimensions. And any parameter that can be modified from this panel right here without going to the edit type is an instance parameter. So to change a type parameter, you need to go to edit type menu, and to edit an instance parameter, you simply need to select the element and edit your parameter from here, and the type will not be affected. Some categories cannot be edited on the family level. They can be edited only on the type level. These are called system families. The door, for example, is a loadable family, not a system family. But the wall is a system family. If you select the wall and click on this drop-down menu, you notice that we have a lot of wall types, but we only have 3 wall families. So we have basic walls, we have curtain walls, and staked walls. And we cannot load a new wall family. We are limited to those 3 families. And to create a new wall, we can create a new type, not a new family. Also, I cannot edit the wall family. So if I select a door, I can edit family. The floor also is a system family that cannot be edited. We have only 1 floor family. But of course, we can create an infinite number of types. So these 2 components right here belong to the same category, which is plumbing fixture, but have different families. Those 2 tables, for example, they have the same category, which is furniture, and the same family, which is table, dining, ground with chairs, but they have different types, as you can see. Also, these 2 walls have the same family, which is basic wall, but different types because they have different thicknesses. And the height of the wall is an instance parameter. If I have 2 walls of the same type, I can edit the height of the wall without editing the type of the wall, because the wall height is an instance parameter and the wall thickness is a type parameter which needs to be edited from the type properties menu. I hope that the Revit hierarchy is now clear. Let us now talk about selection. First, if you put your mouse on any element, it will be highlighted in blue. This is what we called pre-selection. If you focus on your mouse, you can see the category, the family, and the type of the element are all highlighted below your mouse pointer. You can also see them in this small ribbon at the bottom of the screen. So the category of this element is casework, and the family is countertop L-shaped, and the type is 18 inches depth. Once the element is selected, you can see the category right here, the family and the type are also right here. You can use Ctrl to add to your selection and Shift to remove from your selection. You can also use selection windows from right to left. Everything that crosses the window will be selected, and you can use it from left to right. In this case, you should include the whole element in your window and able to select it. You can also combine Ctrl and Shift with selection windows. So Ctrl to add and Shift to remove. Click Escape to deselect everything. We need also to fix these settings right here. All these settings in the bottom right of your screen are related to selection. We will focus only on 2 options. Let me zoom in a little bit like this. Those 2 options right here. The first one is select element by face. Now it's turned off. Let's see what it does. In fact, if I want to select an element in Revit, usually I cannot select it by face. I need to go to the edge of the element. Now I can select this wall, for example. But if I turn on this option, I can select the element without going to the edge of the element. And this can be really useful. So if it's turned off, I cannot select the table from here, but when I turn it on, I can. And the second option is called drag element on selection. So for example, if I deselect everything, sometimes I can move some elements by mistake without selecting them. This is why I recommend to turn always this option off. If it's turned off, I cannot move an element without selecting it. I need first to select the element, then I can drag. So I prefer to always turn this one on and turn this one off. The tab key is in fact very essential in the selection process. I can use it, for example, to switch between selections. If I put my mouse pointer like this, before selecting, I can use the tab key to switch the selection between this sink and this trash can, for example. And it also can be used to select multiple connected elements. So you need to first put the mouse on the pre-selection mode and then click on tab key to select all connected walls. Or more precisely, to select a chain of connected elements in Revit. The filter is also a very essential tool that helps us to filter our selection. Let's make a big selection, for example, like this. I have 427 elements selected. I can see it also from here on the bottom right. Let's filter our selection. Check none and select, for example, only doors and walls category. Okay. This is how we filter our selection. But be careful in big selections. It can cause the software to crash. This is why I prefer to use another method to filter my selection by category. I select one element of the category. Then again from the sunglasses, isolate category. And now I can select everything like this without causing any issues. HR to reset your view. And to select identical elements, you can right click, select all instance, visible in view. We have now 5 tables selected. Or you can also select your element, right click, select all instance in entire project. Now we have 15 tables selected. We can see 5 in this specific view, but we also have 10 more in other places of the project. In fact, you can also save your selection. For example, I can add some elements like this, maybe a door and a plumbing fixture element. Now from here I can save my selection. I will call it, for example, S1. Okay. In order to load this saved selection, I have to start the selection, then load and select the selection. I'm able also to edit the selection, go all the way down to my selection and edit, so I can add or remove elements from my selection. Finish. Finally, I can use schedules to make specific selections. So for example, let's open the planting schedule from typical schedules and let's place it on the side of the view. And now, for example, I can select all the planting on a specific level. So now I'm filtering my selection by level. If I edit the settings of the schedule, I can also filter my selection by any other parameter.